Is it too late to ensure the safety of AI and mitigate harmful impacts on our society and our careers? Almost, says the Godfather of AI. So this short segment came on ABC News. You can look it up and watch it. It's only a minute and a half, but it once again clearly sounds the alarm on what's happening. What triggered this? Well, Sam Altman recently said that basically they've reached the capability of creating an AGI. In my opinion, and I feel certain of this now, AGI exists and it just hasn't been announced yet. This is a particularly dangerous moment for humanity that has long been discussed. And it's almost here because it doesn't stop at AGI, it moves on to superintelligence. Now, why did Geoff Hinton say almost? Because there is a choice here, folks. There's a societal choice that's available. Other countries, the EU and Japan, being examples, are putting in place reasonable limits on AI, not restrictive limits that impact the growth and development of AI. That is a smokescreen. It's not real. When the AI companies say that, you know it's not real. Why? Because these same exact statements were made about the development of nuclear weapons once they became publicly known. The progression from the atomic bomb to the hydrogen bomb, chemical weapons, biological weapons, etc. This is all a smokescreen. Just like the argument that if we don't do it, they will. Smokescreen. In my opinion, the refusal to restrict AI development in dangerous ways prompts other people to do it because you're not restricting yourself. So they're worried about you. Someone has to lead. And clearly, so far, that's been the EU. But in addition to this video, there's other reasons for hope. Whereas at the federal level, it's crystal clear that no action will be taken to limit the dangerous development of artificial intelligence. At the state level, states are starting to take things into their own hands. We'll see if it actually happens. But another article from Reuters, AI safety regulation bill heads to New York governor's desk. So California passed a bill like this, the legislature did, last year in 2024, but it was vetoed by the governor. Let's find out more about this. AI regulation is back in the limelight with lawmakers in New York passing the Safety-Focused RAISE Act on Thursday. This was just 3 days ago, folks. And VCs aren't happy. I think the public interest outweighs VC's happiness. It's the first comprehensive attempt to regulate AI safety at the state level since lawmakers in California passed SB 1047 in August of last year. But it's still unclear if the bill will have a better fate than its West Coast predecessor and not be vetoed by the governor. The RAISE Act requires LLM developers to create and publish safety protocols and risk evaluations. The law also mandates that companies disclose if AI models are stolen by bad actors and if the models behave in dangerous ways. Now, this is a real attempt at regulation, and you'll see why right here. For companies that don't comply, the law gives the New York Attorney General authority to levy civil penalties up to $30 million. Now, that's the kind of penalty to get a company's attention, not just $1,000, which is the usual path of faux regulation. The new rules would only apply to companies that used more than $100 million in computing resources to train their models. So what does that mean? That means we're talking only about, here in the US, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and maybe a few more. This is a very small set of companies affected by this proposed regulation, said Democratic Senator Andrew Gonardus, Would you let your child ride in a car with no seatbelt or airbags? Of course not. So why would you let them use incredibly powerful AI without basic safeguards in place? And here we go with the fake excuse. Andreessen Horowitz general partner Anji Mehta said, "The New York RAISE Act is yet another stupid state-level AI bill that will only hurt the U.S. at a time when our adversaries are racing ahead." Yes, of course they're racing ahead because the U.S., the most dominant nation on planet Earth, refuses to do anything to regulate the dangers of AI. That's why everyone else is racing ahead. Paradoxically, some in the industry are concerned that such a bill could end up helping the large AI companies dominate. Co-founder Jack Clark of Anthropic wrote that he's concerned the RAISE Act is too broad and that huge levies for non-compliance could disproportionately hurt smaller startups. "We think it'd be great if there could be a federal transparency standard," he wrote. "Ideally, there would be a single rule for the whole country." Yes, I 100% agree with Jack Clark. And as you know, I do videos on some of the new breakthroughs that he talks about in his Import AI blog. But the federal government isn't going to do anything. So that's not real. Now, a quick parallel. And it's social media. Social media was engineered to be addictive purposefully by the big tech companies. The outflow of social media on younger people are clear and well documented now. Anxiety, depression, suicide, poor self-esteem, on and on, yet no effective regulation. So there is definitely zero chance that effective regulation at the federal level in the United States will happen. So the states have to step in, and it will take a couple of leading states, and others will pick it up. Personally, I acknowledge that there are good regulations and overly broad regulations. That is certain. But the RAISE Act described, it sounds reasonable to me. Large LLM developers have to create and publish safety protocols and risk evaluations. And the law also mandates companies disclose if AI models are stolen by bad actors or if the models behave in dangerous ways. And to me, there is no overreach, and that those requirements are not overly broad, they're actually modest. And the huge penalties are needed to deter companies who are racing to develop AI with no safeguards faster than they can control it or even understand it, and on the exact same path that similarly happened with social media. And we know the bad effects of that. Not that social media doesn't have positive attributes. Of course it does. But there needs to be some attempt to limit the bad effects of AI, some attempt. And this attempt seems very reasonable. What do you think? Please leave your comments below. Let's have a vigorous discussion on this. But given that AGI will be announced anytime now, I'm 100% convinced now that it's basically anytime, and this year being less than half over. And stunning progress already in AI development with the release of reasoning models. So let me hear what you think. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Also, please support us on Patreon. $1 or $2 a month makes a huge difference for us, but doesn't affect most people much in terms of their budget. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.